Now that the rough end for the plumbing and electrical that's going under the slab is done, to continue getting this thing ready to pour the concrete for the slab, I've got to go back and clean up all this gravel that was dug up. So that means I've got to screed it off again, fill all the holes, take down the high spots, and then run the compactor over it, except for where there's plumbing under the gravel. Don't want to run the compactor over it because there's a potential to either throw it out of elevation or crack the plumbing in some way, separate a joint or damage the pipe. So we don't want to compact over the top of where these pipes are running under the gravel, but the areas in between, I need to go back and try to flatten all of this out to give us a good consistent slab thickness across the entire surface. So what I'm going to do to screed this off again is use the same boards I used the last time, but because we've got the forms on most of the slab, I'm going to have to use screws to hold the string. next step in preparing for this slab pour is going to be doing the layout for the rebar, getting that marked, and then getting the holes drilled and put in. The rebar is going to go in about 6 inches from the outside edge of the stem wall, and on 2-foot centers. We're going to step in a foot from the corners because there's no reason to put one right in the corner. And once we get them in and laid down, then we'll put the plastic on. Then I'll come back and bend them over so that they tie in and they're within the slab with good coverage. Oh, come on. The reason I switched to this other bit is not because the first one I was using is worn out. It's just that it had gotten hot enough that it expanded and was binding in the hole. And it was hot enough I burned my arm when I touched it a minute ago. So the bit's still cutting. Those are pretty good bits. Alright, I think this thing's ready to put plastic on it tomorrow. Once we get the plastic on and tape all of the penetrations up and get it glued down on the edges, which is why I was trying to get it as clean as possible. Then we'll put the rebar in and start getting that ready to get the rest of the rebar in. So, woohoo! Okay, before we start putting the plastic down, I've got to dig down in the gravel about a foot around this, down to that footing, so that when we pour the slab, it's going down to the top of the mounting plate and to the top of that pier footing that we put underneath this gravel. Thanks, Uncle Joe. I didn't mention it previously, but this vapor barrier we're putting down is 10 mil because the studies have been done by the concrete industry and energy efficiency folks and different stuff have shown that 6 mil is actually not sufficient, especially given the type of house we're building with concrete everywhere. We'll end up with moisture coming up through the slab with 6 mil. I'm sure that at some point it can happen with 10, but all of the experts have recommended a 10 mil vapor barrier, so that's what we're going with. Okay, Mamacita, we need to grab the top leading edge and we're going to fold it back. You know, just in time for the wind to start picking up. How close are you to the end down there?
Stretch it all the way. I've got about a 3-inch overlap on this end.
That's about what we've got here.
Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and start fitting it around these pipes.
Yep.
And we'll see if that tape's going to stick to this concrete. We'll temporarily tape it down on this side and start working our way across.
Are we doing one long strip or do we just want short strips?
Well, I'm going to get it over these pipes first and then go from there. Because it's actually looking like I cut the hole a little too far to the inside. There we go, that's a little better. Get to that corner.
Yep. Well, or you want me to stand on it while you get it stretched over that just temporarily, so.
I thought you were standing on it.
I don't know that we're gonna be able to stretch it that high unless you can bend that one.
You may show you how we're gonna stretch that.
You're a genius. Or something. Hang on. Okay. It's really easy when you please tell me there's not a this side up. This side up is printed on the other side. Okay. Can you reach that?
My knees hurt, so.
Oh, okay.
All right, I'm getting ready to glue the edges of this stuff down. And what I'm using is Sika Pro construction adhesive. Best I can tell, this stuff's gonna work. Everything else I looked at, the Loctite, the the other liquid nails, all of that, said it would not adhere to this plastic. And I got on a couple of forums where they were talking about doing this, and this was one of the things that was recommended as working. So we'll see. And in case you're wondering, yes, I caught my pants on fire, but I'd forgotten to hit record before that happened. All right, I'm getting ready to drive this rebar. And since I did this the last time, I have ordered and gotten delivered a correct rod driving bit, so I don't have to use my redneck engineered emergency stopgap bit. So I'm gonna start driving these things in. Well, after I finished putting this rebar in, I started looking at the edges of this underlayment, the vapor barrier, and apparently Sika is not the right product to use for that because it is in no shape, form, or fashion sticking to this plastic. So I'm gonna have to find something different for that. So if you're planning on doing this, don't use that Sika construction adhesive despite it having been recommended, because it is not sticking to this vapor barrier. What we're doing now is getting this rebar bent down into position so we can start tying the grid together that goes inside the slab. All right, after my experiment yesterday, trying to see if I could get these bent effectively using just a piece of pipe and some blocks of wood, I did what I should have done to begin with and knocked up a hickey bar style rebar bender so I can go through here and get these things bent down below the level of the form, and so that I've got the right amount of coverage on the concrete. Because I didn't do this way yesterday, I'm gonna have to kind of be careful and make sure not to poke holes in this dang vapor barrier that I gotta then go back and find and tape up. But, you know, trying to see if I could do something the easy way made it not so easy. And the question is, am I getting it low enough? And it appears to be so. And yes. Okay, so that ought to work. Should have done it to begin with, but now you know, if you're in the middle of nowhere and nobody in town's got the right tool that you can buy, you can do it without the right tool, or if you got the capacity, you can just make the right tool. And all I did was took some stuff out of the scrap pile, cut a couple short pieces of rebar, welded them on there with enough gap, You know, if I was gonna do this, making a bunch of bent up shapes, I'd do it like an actual hickey bar, put a pin in the other side, and space these out a little further. Then you can bend different degrees of bend in a fixed location, but that's not what I was trying to accomplish. So what I'm installing right now, or attempting to install, is the blockout for our shower. Because we anticipated some point that one or both of us is going to need a walker or a wheelchair or something, we're doing a larger than normal shower in the master bathroom that is a curbless or zero entry shower. So what I'm doing now is putting in a blockout so that when we pour the slab, the concrete's going to be outside of that form, and that then lets me come back in at a later time and put the slope in the floor, install the drain, and get everything in place for the shower without having to mess with forming a slope in the slab and all that stuff. It's just an easier way to do it. put a cross brace in that to hold it while I finish getting it staked down. Still good. Huh. Hell, that might work. Talking about making that fan around. Yeah, that's about a 4-inch load. So 5 inches, we're looking at 37 yards. All right, folks, I think that's going to wrap this video up for today. Thank you for watching, and y'all have a good day.